Here's today's project done. A little landscape. And you'll get to see, doesn't start out looking like much, but we finally got somewhere. Let's get started. Hi guys, this is part 2, making some scenery or a landscape. This time I'm putting it up and down instead of back and forth like I did for the abstract. And this is what I sketched out to make for this. So what I'm going to start out with is putting sky in, because that I can do now, and then I'll have to go back and shred a lot more of this stuff for my ground. So I'm going to put the darkest color on the top. It's a nice sky color. And I'm going to use a lot of artistic license, you might say. This isn't going to be a very realistic painting. This is going to be based on a realistic idea, but it's going to be my idea too, the way I want to do it. So if I have some swirls in the sky or the clouds look different, because I feel like it. Okay. There we go. I'll put a little over here, above the clouds. Okay. Now you may want to try a sunset. I went on Pinterest and I looked at all kinds of pictures of windmills. That's how I found out there's no such thing as mountains or hills behind a windmill. It's all flat wetlands. Hello, kitten. My little girl kitten. She's getting antsy because it's about an hour before food time. Okay. Now let's see. Do some of this one next. Kind of hard to see it against the blue background, isn't it? Put the breathier part against the darker blue. I'm kind of close to the landscape here. I want to put a little bit of this lighter blue on the bottom. If I make this breathy enough, I can make this fade into that one too. Like that. See how that just kind of fades in together? And make these two guys fade in together. That's going to be the extent of my sky. Okay. Now what I'm going to do before I add my clouds, I'm going to tamp this all down flat, and I'm going to see if and where I need a little more darker blue on the top, The clouds are all going to be through here, so I don't need to put any sky there. A little on the end over here. Which blue is that? There we go. Okay, and probably need a little bit more of this one. Okay. Okay. I'm going to fill this down flat and I'll be back. I wanted to show you a quick little touch here. When you're getting it down in there, you're going to have places where you have this effect, all nubbly. And how you can fix that is you take the color that's on there. Which one is that? This one, I think, here. And you just go like this. All you need is a little bit of surface ones to cover it. And then you do the little back draw like I showed you before. You just take your hands and do it the rest of the way. See? Okay. Now I'm going to take the sky. I've got a wispier and a whiter. And I think I'll put the whiter on top of the wispier. They tend to kind of stratify. Okay, I think I'll use the single tack. I like the single needle. I call it my enforcer. It really makes that stuff pay attention to what you're doing. I want you to do this, and that's what you're going to do. So there. Okay. Now this is going to be a little bit different. These are clouds that have form and attitudes. I do something like this, I always wonder how much of my efforts are going to end up showing. Usually it's on a hat or something. I end up covering it with another color. Just kind of tell it what you want to do. See what I mean by artistic license? Making the clouds the way I want them. Not the way they'll necessarily look in real life. Though I have seen some incredible clouds that you could say would never actually happen. There we go. I kind of like that. The bottom. Bottom is going to be fun because I don't have much in the way of greens. I have these kind of greens, and I have these kind of greens. So I'm going to go mess with my greens. It'd be much easier if I just had the felt, lay the felt out. I got to do things the hard way, right? And I need to find me some deeper blue, which I think I have in my still life bag, to do the water thing down here. So once in a while look at your picture. My sky could probably have come down a little bit more. Nah, that's good. That's good. We'll have more room for green. So okay, so you go, if you don't have your picture yet of your windmill or whatever you're going to make, could be a barn, could be a grain silo, could be whatever. If it's grain silo, you can make all these golds like it's autumn and you've got the wheat and stuff in the background. Anyway, I'm going to go work on what I want to do down here, and I'll be back once I have it figured out. Okay, see you later. I think this that I used a piece of off of for the abstract will be beautiful as the water. So I'm going to take these off. Lay them up there in my sky for a minute. Some of the darker, a little more of the darker on there. Okay. Let's see how this will go. That's going to be nice. That's going to be nice. Okay. So batten down the hatches on this guy. This is fun. I was kind of scared to try a landscape because I've never done one. In fact, I've never even painted a landscape, but I've looked at a lot of them. I've seen enough painting programs so I know you start with the background and lay the front on top of it. Okay, now what did I want? I want kind of a straight top because it is far background. A little wisp of brown on it, kind of help blend it in, like that. And a spit of land coming out here, like that. Some more green. The green on the brown and the brown on the green. That's my picture. Yeah, it's about where I want things. Doesn't look like much, but remember when we did the abstract how we went back and finalized things and added things and made them look good? Same difference. You go back and you do your little detailing. It's like you don't start detailing a car by detailing as you throw the soap and water on it. Okay, I did this front fender, now I want to go polish it. No, do the whole thing first. So that's what we do. We kind of plan. That shredded edge is going to work nice in there. See that? I prefer having felting roving, but I don't, so I'm making do. I'm a make-doer. You kind of pretty much have to be if you're going to do any kind of a felting project, because you never know when it's going to decide to do what it wants to do instead of what you want it to do. I'm going to let this part here stick up a little bit more in front because it's closer. So it can show a little bit more inclination towards the vegetation. And maybe another little wisp of brown right behind it. So it'll show up against the blue. There we go. The one thing with the felt sheets, you got to work with them a lot longer because see how they show the holes? You either have to cover them up or you have to just keep felting until it gives up being a fabric and decides to be felt. And that takes a while. We're going to have fun doing some finalizing on here so that different parts of it stick out. Okay. Now, Where's my brown? There's my brown. I wonder how a little bit of wisp of this just up here would look. A little bit darker wisp. It's kind of interesting, maybe coming out from behind the white clouds. Oh, I think I like that. What do you think? Add a little more interest to the sky. Yeah. So now I gotta tack it down again. That's okay, it tacks. You tear it up, you tack it down. That's why it's called tack and tear. I might wisp those out. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay. You can stay. You can stay. So, I think the best thing for me at my state of experience will be to trace this on another piece of paper and come in here and make like an outline for it. Okay, so I know this isn't an expert teaching you here, but hopefully if I can do what I've done, where I've never done one of these before, you should be encouraged to try yourself. Okay, so I will be back. Okay, I used a combination of methods. I took 2 Post-it and stuck them together, put it behind here, and I took a small sewing needle and I punctured all the way around it, and then I cut around the punctures, and this gives me an idea of where this is going to be on here, and I know what I have to finish on this side. That helps. So I'm going to go ahead, I think I'm just going to put I think I'll just put brown on this side. It'll kind of blend into this, but it'll be okay. So, take my brown. I'll just cover it over. Not going to cause any trouble. And some on the bottom. And maybe a little bit of green. Let's see here. Oh, poop. Okay, I've got a little bit of this I can use. Man, this is tough stuff. A little less, please. That is strong stuff. Okay, I'll spread you out a little bit and then we'll narrow you down a little bit again. That'll work. Okay. That's where the background is. That's going to work out good. Now, to give me an outline to work in, I decided to get a little bit sneaky. See if this works. Get a little bit of embroidery floss here. Fuzz all over the place. Give me a guide to work with. This probably isn't the best way to do it, but it's working for me. I'm inventing it as I go along. Like I said to start with, like the blind leading the blind. You guys are probably laughing your heads off at me. I don't care, I'm having fun. And if you're not having fun, shame on you. Don't do it. Don't do this if you can't have fun doing it. It should be an adventure. And it's not something that you have to have looked at by an art critic. You are learning and experimenting and having fun. If it turns out good, you can be very proud of yourself. If it doesn't turn out good, you can be happy with everything you learned doing it. So there. Okay. Basic outline. filling it in here and there with some fluff. Okay, got my background color in there. Okay, I know that makes it woggly, but it also makes it easier for me to see the one brown behind the other brown. Okay. Now this one, since I'm going to put some bricks on top of it, some brick lines, I'm going to want to finalize this down a little bit more. So I want it kind of smooth. You should be down here, fella. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go away again, and I'm going to get this all nice and flattened and finalized down, except for the very, very edges, because the edges are going to have to be brought in and tamed, and the background is going to have to be put under it so it stands out, like we did on the abstracts. Okay, so I'm going to work on this a bit, and I'll be back. Alright guys, let's see if we can make this strange lumpy hill start to look like a windmill. I'm not going to do the foreground yet. First, I'll put my glasses on. Okay. And I'm going to crisp up my windmill. I'll start by defining the edge better. And one thing I did not put in this windmill, or in the landscape, or anywhere, is perspective of where the sun's coming from. I'm not really trying to give an art lesson here. I'm trying to learn how to make a landscape. And I'm trying to use some of the basics that you learn when you watch someone teaching you how to do acrylics or oil or watercolors. Okay. It's still a little crooked though. I think Okay, put a little foreground in there so I can get it in front of it. So let's see now. The top will play a little bit different color. It's the same color. Not that brown. I'm going to use those for the sail. I'll think about that later. It does have should have at least a good shadow on it. There's some sort of differentiation. All right. Okay, get back up there. Okay, now let's get this here. The detail you can see on the bottom is from the undercutting around the edge that sets it apart. It's kind of like that. And this part up here is also going to have is that different? It's slightly different. Let's make the top of this slightly different brown. Okay. A little bit more difference here. We don't have to get fanatical about it. I need half that much. Okay, I'm going to take my sharp edge, put it up against my sharp edge. No more sharp edge. Okay. Well, I don't know if it'll work unless I try it, do I? Put this in under here. Down from there. Pull it over, stick it in. Aha, there we go. Now we have a slightly different color on top to further define it. I'm going to work on this until I get it crisp, since this is the color I want that I'll end up with. I'm going to work on this a little bit and crisp it down. Now, I'm going to batten this down a little bit more. Very lightly. I want it to look a little bit more like it's supposed to be part of the picture, not just laid on top of it. Now, I want to put in a little bit of little wisps. Kind of light and patchy. Let's kind of batten you down too. Okay. Not need little feathers of this and that sticking up, do we? Oh, get down. Stubborn little ones can be brought down with your enforcer and told to be good. And now I'm going to bring the sky behind the landscape. Besides having the color set it apart, it helps if you can firm it up a little bit. Make sure there's no fuzz sticking up there. And go back and reinforce it by putting the sky behind and under the backdrop. And make sure the sky is really down around this sky because we want it to really look like it's setting up. And right here the clouds are higher than the surface of the windmill. In other words, as fluffy and pretty as the sky is, we need it flatter. And you want the bottom part of it flatter anyway, because the bottom part is farther away than it is up here. Kind of nice it doesn't have to be as firm as a solid object, as you can use your fingers to do a lot of the work. Now let's see. One thing I want to put in, I think I'll take a little bit of this and a little bit of this. Well, it won't stand out much, but it'll be a feature that we can show. We need a hub for the windmill. The actual windmill vanes. Okay. I want this off center a little bit. This is totally oh, I can use this brown. I should be using a black or something to make a shadow on this. Just with a hint around it that it's not all the same thing. The little wispy things and stick them behind there. This is boring as hell for you, isn't it? There we go. Now, the veins. How do I want the veins? Now the veins are going to be vaguely this way and this way. So, and they're awfully long. You know, if you put one from the ground up, it looks like it would hit the ground every time. It really does. Catching you right here. I want you the same length approximately. About that long. You're going to go slightly offside. On this side. This is going to be slightly up, and this is going to be slightly down. Why? I don't know. It seems to me like that's how they are. Whoop! Took it right off of there, didn't I? This one. This way. Okay. I think I made that one too thick. Yeah. There we go. That's better. Use the part we cut off for the other one. Okay. Now I got the angles right. You're going off page. You're not. So, how about length? Now that looks longer than that, and I believe it is. Let's see here. Oh yeah, definitely too long. There we go. Now, that includes the windmill, the body itself. Okay. Now, this is what I'm going to use for the body of the wings. I'll do some of the work down here. Let's see how long I'm supposed to be making these. Okay, so that's my leading edge. That'll be my end. Got my end pretty well defined. Alright, come over here. There's the end. That's where I wanted it, right there. How wide do I want it? think about that white will work. Is that going to look good enough, or is that going to be too wide? I think it's a little too wide. Maybe even narrower. We'll see. I'll start out with that. Coming in almost to my hub. I hope I didn't screw this up. Probably used a toothpick or something. Oh, I know. Uh-huh. Pull it back here, like this. I'm going to gradually bring it out to where I want it. Oh. Right about there. Okay. Now push this up along my shaft. And I want this slanted out a little bit. And oh, I forgot. This is one of the ones that goes almost off page, huh? If you need a girl that you're looking at. Sorry. I tend to sing when I'm doing stuff. I shouldn't be singing. Oh, wait a minute. I've got this on the wrong side. Arr. Arg. Grr. Okay. I do all of that for nothing. I want at a good angle. And this angle should be a 90 degree angle too, because these are 90 degrees apart, and this angle is going to be the same all the time in relation to that, so these angles should be 90 degrees apart. And I think they are about. Looks about right. I said about the same width. like it's about the same width. Oh, you know what I didn't do before I did the sail? I didn't put my windows on. Did not put my windows on. I was going to do that first. They measure out the same, they look different. Go figure. And where I put the light up here, I think I'm going to have to put some dark back in there. Where's my dark? Funny wispy little stuff. It's just enough to reinforce the darkness of the building behind the sail. See? Pretty cool, huh? There we go. Well, it ain't going to be the best picture in the world, but we'll certainly get an idea of what to do, huh? Okay, now, more sail. 2 more sails. I'm not going to put you through making them. Now, I think I'm going to have to make a little put my windows in. Okay. Tiny wispy swatches. I think I'll put a window right here. And again, I think I used way too much wisp. Way too big a wisp. I have to bury a lot of it. See, the nice thing about wool is it doesn't matter whether it's not enough or too much. You just adjust as you go. little wisp of this. Okay, I'm going to need a needle to hold this down. Because when I tighten this here, the strand's going to pull that corner off. It helps to have needles, pins, T-pins, sewing pins, all kinds of stuff around to help. Now this I can just kind of spread around and make it disappear. And push this further down in here. To make it look like it's in the lighthouse. And I keep calling it lighthouse. In the mill and not outside the mill. Go. That's one window. A lot of work for one window. This time I won't use quite as much. I'm supposed to have one around here. It's going to be kind of peeking out behind that. That's going to be harder because I should have done it before. Before I put that on. Put the brown in on this thing, you know, leave the brown in there. There we go. Go. Whew, that was a pistol, wasn't it? I want to use a lighter color for the door, but not as light as the windows. Okay. Doesn't need to be a lighter color. I just don't think the door is going to show up if it's not. Now, I could stick these up on the side, couldn't I? Like they're a little bit of a guide rail. Oh. Yeah. You stick this down though, so this can be forward like a stoop or step. I think before I do any more of this, I better do the foreground. Okay, so what am I going to do with the foreground? Okay, so I think I'll make a roadway or a pathway. Alrighty. You don't want the road in front of vegetation. The vegetation grows on top of it. Let's see what we can have here. How about stones? And let's see, we'll probably have a couple other little ones here and there. Boy, I have fun trying to control this stuff, don't I? Tiniest little wisp. The vegetation behind it. This edge behind it. You want this under that, see? Put everything under and behind what you want it under and behind. So the edge of this can go under the rock and yet over the road. See? There we go. Now, that fun, I guess. Now this is going to be fun. Little bits and pieces I tore off of these. And put some back in. I can just put some of this darker green, a band of this darker green in back of it. a art craft sheet background. And because I'm not gluing these down, I've got to make sure that every single one of them is stuck on here. So I can't just kind of spread them along, let them do their thing. They gotta be in there. I can put each one of these, ouch, with the solid side down and fluff them up like that. It's not that important. Glad I did a lot of these because I think I'm going to need them. I got a whole bunch. A couple of these taller ones here. Reinforce that. Work with what you got. I don't have all the colors greens I'd like to have. But there we go. I'm going to put kind of bush over here, I think. And a couple little wisps coming over. Look at this one. Got a nice base for the plant here. Now when you're doing craft felt, on top of craft felt, you really need to tack it in. There we go. Not that darker piece. See how this will work. A slightly lighter background. Oh, that's not working at all. What I thought I would do is give a little lighter background to that part so it would stand out more. Well, it does kind of. Let's see if I can give a couple more highlights to this bush. Long wispy highlights. Just little wispy touches. Okay. Another little wispy bit. Maybe right here. This is going to be off the bottom of my picture anyway. Again, you want to go in and emphasize around anything that's supposed to be sticking out farther than the background. I'm not sure how much of this bottom edge is going to stick out over my frame. I'll just hedge my bets a little bit. Okay. I'm going to call this quits. Drop all my pieces here. And that goes with the dark one. That goes on the light one. Okay. Stuff away in a baggie. And this stuff goes in a scrap bag. Yeah. See if I take and I frame this. That'll look really nice. See? It really brings it out. Okay, so there's our little picture. I learned a lot making it. Not the best picture in the world, not the greatest artistic in the world, but you know, you want to make something, just make it. Enjoy yourself. Don't worry about who's going to see it, what they're going to think. That's going to be okay? Oh yeah, that'll be fine. All right, so there's our picture. And I hope you enjoyed working on a picture with me and finding out how you can throw in backgrounds, clouds, and even a building. Now you could take and change the way this is back here so it's a different lighter color, as long as it doesn't clash with that. You can put patches of lighter green or put some darker green instead of out here closer to it to make it stand out. You can add a highlight on this side to make it stand out, but I'm going to keep it just as is. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned something from it. And the next one that I attempt is going to be a still life, and we'll see what that turns out to be like, okay? All right. Happy felting, guys.